Hello, hello, and welcome once again. J76NY here, and we are up to episode number 24 of our douchebag playthrough on Suzerain. Last episode, we had a bombshell drop with the revelation that Peter had been sleeping with my secretary Olivia, or Alana Vance, the Rumbergian spy. We set in motion a course of events that is going to possibly come back and haunt us. It puts a little kink in my plans to betray Koronti. He's our inside guy in the media, because we kind of need the fact that we ordered the assassination of our secretary/spy to stay secret. Also, the affair of Peter Vectorn. So we'll have to see how that goes. I hope you guys are enjoying this playthrough. A lot different than my first one. I can link to the first one at the end of the episode here in the end credits or the end screen. If you want to check out a more serious playthrough. I called it the For the People playthrough, even though I did take bribes and stuff like that. It was fun, and this is turning out to be just as fun. I am really, really interested to see what the new DLC adds to the game. Obviously, it's not active right now, and they're also coming out with an update. So that will be probably Season 3 of our Suzerain adventure here. Going to be doing another playthrough of this after this one, once the update hits. And the DLC, from what I understand, it takes you, I think, back in time a little bit. To you're also way down here off the map, president of some other country. Or not president, but king. But that's for the future. For right now, we've got to go to the briefing on the women's rights situation, which could be a complete disaster. Anton is kind of a sexist. So, he's a douchebag. What do you expect? Old school. Right? Old school. Let's get into it. I was sitting in my office. I looked at the clock. 2:26 p.m. It was almost time for my appointment with Ciara on women's rights. Ciara hates me. A lot of people hate me. Can't blame them. There was a knock at the door. Ciara entered the room with folders in her hand. The door did not close behind her. My wife entered. She hates me too. Monica entered the room and stood next to Ciara. I was confused. This was the opposite of what we had agreed after the Benfey Festival. No, Monica, go home. What are you doing here? She turned to Ciara. Would you give us a minute? Of course. Right before she made her way out, her eyes met with Monica's and the two women exchanged nods. Maybe she's a spy too. Maybe I could have her killed. Down a dark path we'd go. To have all opposition killed or arrested. Regardless of who it was. The door closed, leaving Monica and me alone in the office. Explain yourself. You know how much I want to help women in Sortland. I had an opportunity and I couldn't let it pass. But when Ciara asked me to join her today, I had to accept. Be honest, I would have done the same if that is what it took to get my word across. What hell's that supposed to be? That doesn't change the fact that you didn't trust me. Ciara needs to learn she can't interfere with my family. There we go. Don't blame her. She just did what was necessary for the future of Sortish women. Please, Anton, let me stay. Do you trust me? Yes, of course I do. That's a lie. Then believe me when I say, don't get involved in politics. But why? This is about Sortish women. This has nothing to do with politics. We're getting close to the elections. I can't handle any possible bad press because of your naivete. Everything is about simply too dangerous. I don't want you to get hurt. Someone has to stay home and look after Deanna. Bad press. Everything's about politics. I know I don't understand politics the way you and Ciara do. But my role would be just of a spokeswoman. That's all. I leaned forward. No. Monica's eyes narrowed. All right, if I need to leave you... Whoops. Yeah, I'm already putting my own thoughts into the story here. If I need to leave for you to take Ciara seriously on women's rights, I will. Made her way to the door. I'll fetch Ciara so you two can get on with your business. Monica left the office. A short time later, Ciara knocked on the door. Pity your wife won't be joining us. Be thankful I'm not firing you for approaching behind my back. Stay out of it. There. Not a particularly auspicious start toward this meeting. What'd you expect? We still have a long way to go before Swordish women are able to enjoy the same rights and privileges as men, or even as their counterparts in Arcasia and the United Cantana. We've been lagging behind on this for decades. And this isn't only a moral issue. I've seen enough revolutions in this world to understand the main driver of any change: money. He flipped a folder open and started pulling out documents. In the United Cantana, law dictates that women earn the same wages as men in their respective fields. My research shows that this led to a 15.5 increase in productivity. We could use women to boost our economy. Could say this had a direct influence on their superpower status. Arcasia passed laws ensuring maternity leave rights, child daycare centers, and tax deductions for working families. In turn, they experienced a 12.6% productivity boost and a flourishing economy. Well, now she's making some very good points. Ends to a means. Both countries also have significantly lower infant mortality rates, a statistic I believe is directly linked to the improved status of women. Our administration has thus far failed to pull Swordland out of its economic recession. So I am asking, why not try passing similar laws? At worst, even if they fail to improve the economy, it will still be a significant step forward for our society. She is very shrewd, I would say. Only logical. He handed me one of the documents. It had a list of bullet points on it. These are the measures I believe are most urgently needed. Let my eyes wander down the list. Criminalizing domestic violence, support for working mothers, equal treatment in the workforce, gender equality in public education. Criminalizing domestic violence. I shouldn't have to tell you how crucial this is. It is utterly unbelievable that in this day and age, Sordis men are legally allowed to beat their wives? Really? What families do in their own home is none of our concern, or it's a travesty. You look disgusted. With all due respect, Mr. President, it is. By staying lenient on this, we are essentially telling Swordish women that the state doesn't care about them. As incidents are especially high within Bludish communities. See, it's the Bluds. They're the problem. Bluds, all of them. Ugh. Would also advocate for setting up a special domestic violence task force in your collaboration with Bludish women's rights organizations. I didn't know I had any collaboration with Bludish women's rights organizations. Interfering in Bludish matters, the Blues must conform to Swordish law. We can discuss the particulars once the law is passed. Support for working mothers. Got it. Simply isn't fair that women in the workforce are punished for having children. Paid maternity leave and state-subsidized daycare centers could be key to keeping mothers. I don't want to reward women for choosing work over raising children. True, having children never hindered my career at prospects. Not a woman. Couldn't hinder a woman's either. I don't want to reward them for choosing work over raising their children. Nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home mom. What about women who have to work to provide for their children? This could lead to healthier families and a healthier economy. Moving on. Equal treatment in the workforce. I think what this is all going to boil down to is what does not cost us any money. Right now, Swordland has one of the continent's largest pay gaps between men and women. Need legislation ensuring that a woman doing the same job as a man is paid the same wage. Quota for women in position of power. On the board of large corporations, for instance, or even within the assembly. Also be advisable. Quotas seem far easier to implement than equal pay laws. Quotas are a terrible idea. Seem a lot easier to implement. She gritted her teeth. We'll see about that. Gender equality in public education. And she grins. You know how much this means to me, and you've witnessed the dangers firsthand. The way girls are shut out of a real education. First of all, I think I made my position on this clear. Why do you keep bringing it up? Unless their parents have the means to get them out of public school system. So the bright minds are lost. I'm not entirely on your side. But Deanna loves her handicraft classes. Not saying we'll take those away. Maybe boys should learn handicraft too. My voters won't want to see their sons in an apron. But maybe they'll want to see their daughters become the next Artvin Einstein, whoever the fuck that is. Move on for now. That covers all subjects. What are your thoughts? We must choose our own path. I agree completely. We must aim to be better than them, better than all the superpowers. None of them have yet managed to achieve true parity among the sexes. If we can do that, we'll make history. Let's talk about how to proceed. I want to establish a commission for women's rights in Swordland with me as its head. Our goal shall be passing and implementing a set of laws to solve the problems we just discussed. The organization's name will be Commission on the Status of Women. It's going to be damn hard to get your laws past the assembly. Or why bother with a commission? I can pass the laws you want here and now. I don't want to commit to anything. You lean towards me. Nia would kill me for saying this, but this is one case where using your decree powers would be fully justified. Ooh, she's telling me to just do what I want. What exactly is going on between you and Miss Morgana anyway? I'll be the judge of that. Look who's suddenly off her moral high horse. Is for the greater good. I have no problem bypassing the assembly. You have the chance to be a hero. Think about your daughter and her future. I hope you will make the right decision. She rose from her seat expectantly. Took a few minutes to think. I hereby declare your laws passed and your commission established. Good luck. -2 on the budget. Nope. I'm on your side, but I want to go through the assembly. Can't risk a backlash. Nope. Sorry, but the answer is no. You can try and run your laws by the assembly, but they'll get no support from me. Well, if we're... he's a douchebag, so this would be the right choice. Not going into red again. Sorry. I'm on your side, which I'm really not, but I want to go through the assembly. I guess I have to be honest and go with this one. You can try, but you're on your own. And it's all lost for the future of women in Swordland. Well, you don't have very much confidence in yourself, do you? Your female constituents remember you as a failure. So will I. I suggest you think long and hard about how you're going to explain yourself to your wife. My wife already hates me. Both know how much this means to her. I sagged back in my chair and exhaled. It was a clear day outside, but the perfect view over Holsword provided little comfort. All right. I guess I could have lied to her and sent her to the assembly. Not completely shot her down. But Swordish League of Women donation. Private donation from the president. Most influential women's rights NGO, the Swordish League of Women, is organizing a massive fundraising campaign to raise awareness in Swordish society and has reached out to us personally for private donations. No. All right. Mediation of a dispute in Gendarmerie. Arrived in the city of Vesord with Peter after receiving an emergency meeting request from Joseph and Lilius. I had seen the report of a recent issue that rose between Swordish police forces and the Gendarmerie units at the city. The report said that an operation against a drug trafficking gang in Vesord failed due to miscommunication. It's not hard to guess what this meeting was going to be about. We entered the city hall and made our way to the second floor. I could hear Joseph and Lilius' voices echoing through the hall. I opened the door to the meeting room. They didn't even notice. This is unacceptable. How dare the police meddle in the affairs of the Gendarmerie? It was your men who started this ridiculousness and meddled with an ongoing police investigation. Voices were getting louder and louder. Rural security is my jurisdiction and your men were way outside of Vesord. Please calm down and let's discuss this. What's going on? Apologies, but Miss Graff here fails to understand her place. No, Mr. Lancia, you are the one who does not understand his place. You guys should duke it out. Can't guarantee he would win. Damn. If you continue to do this, you will pay for it one day. Slam the table. Let's hear your side of the story. The Lieutenant General of the Gendarmerie was tracking a drug trafficking ring in the countryside of Vesord. We immediately acted on it. Just when we were about to raid their hideout with live weapons, the police units arrived in the scene and alerted the criminals. As a result, criminals got away. So the police meddled and caused the raid to fail. Is there a line of communication between you? Didn't you rush the situation a little there? Don't you guys talk to each other? There is, but the Minister of Defense decided to avoid notifying the police department about the planned raid. Same could be said about you, because the report shows that you knew about the gang and their stash in the countryside. Started tapping on the table with my fingers. What I hear is you're both incompetent? Wow. Getting nowhere, we need to find a middle ground. I think this was the last drop. Internal security matters should be handled by the Ministry of Interior completely. We are called the Ministry of Interior for a reason. We can't let any more screw-ups like this happen again. You looked at me. I want the Gendarmerie to be transferred to the Ministry of Interior. What? Woman, you out of your mind? Joseph turned red with anger. He composed himself after a moment. Can't these branches just try to improve their communication? Just saying. I believe I just told you the fix to the problem, Mr. Vice President. Well, but with all due respect, there's not another way. Ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. I won't hand over Gendarmerie to her. Out of the question. I agree, Gendarmerie. Do you have a better solution? Been a part of the Ministry of Defense for years. What's your solution? Whenever operations overlap, we should engage at a lower rank with the local officers on both sides. Sounds reasonable. We could work on establishing that, but it still doesn't change the wrong system that exists now. No matter what, we need to eliminate this gray area and modernize our internal security. Now I see what's going on here. Lily has set us up to create this incident. That's going a bit too far. What proof do you have? There is no way that the police had arrived at the right time of month. Oh, Jesus. There is no way that the police has arrived at the right time of a month-long search on the exact day and minute of the Gendarmerie raid. Seems, might be a conspiracy theory, but he honed down the not accusation here. This kind of accusation is unheard of. It's nonsense. If I were you, I wouldn't believe a word Mr. Lancia says, Mr. President. Heed my word, Mr. President. When dealing with these situations, you need to always look at who gets what out of what. Won't stand idly by these utter ridiculous and baseless accusations. I don't have time for this. What's your decision? There'll be no change. Because I don't want to piss Joseph off. I like him. He's a good guy. And I don't like her. You're making a mistake. Thank you for protecting the structure and authority of the Ministry of Defense. From now on, work together and don't fight among each other. I want capable and effective members of the cabinet. We will do our best. Right, Mr. Lancia? That's right, Miss Graff. They high five. I left the room to attend my next scheduled meeting. Okay. Well, that didn't go too bad. What do we have here? Secret State Police. The Secret State Police is continuing its investigation of the oligarchs. Few leads have been uncovered revealing Walter Tusk and Marcel Koronti's involvement in illegal dealings, including suspected arms smuggling and money laundering. These will be duly followed up on. Oh. See, Walter Tusk, I could believe, and I don't care if he goes down. I think he's already in prison, actually. But Marcel is our media guy. Newspapers have been quiet. Oh, what do we have? Update on the situation of the oligarchs. Got her again. Lilius Graff requested to set up an off-the-books meeting to relay a new development from the criminal investigations conducted by the Secret State Police. He was seated right across from me in the meeting room. You asked the SSP to start investigating the oligarchs. We couldn't find anything related to Walter Tusk yet, but there is a silver lining. Thanks to Mr. Greisner's efforts, we have come across a suspicious link during our recent operation against organized crime in Estord. He handed over a police report detailing the network of the Carinelli gang in the city. Ledger was found in one of the raids, as contents linking their operation to a subsidiary of the Hardisordland conglomerate. Marcel. Something must have gone wrong in the investigation. This can't be true. Without undeniable evidence, there's no point in making assumptions. He was sure. Big accusation. The initial lead found by our lead investigator refers to several transactions. There is a case to pursue. At any rate, with this new evidence, we need not keep our research into Mr. Koronti a secret any longer. In fact, we should open a full-blown joint investigation with the Ministry of Justice. He's probably right. Obviously, we hope that there is nothing beneath the surface, but if any way HOS is linked to organized crime. Marcel Koronti is a powerful figure that wouldn't like a development like this at all. To figure out the truth, a more independent, in-depth investigation needs to be launched. that really enough to start rounding up suspects? There's no way a respectable company like HOS can be linked to this. I don't believe it. To figure out the truth, a more in-depth investigation needs to be launched. Or Marcel Koronti is a powerful figure that won't like a development like this at all. Let's launch a more in-depth investigation. We must tread carefully. There have been rumors about Mr. Koronti having ties to our government. Who'd you hear that from? You burst into a laugh. We all have our ways, Mr. President. I wouldn't be sitting here if I didn't know how to keep my ears open. So, will you allow us to open an investigation? We both locked eyes. Begin an official investigation to find out if HOS is working with organized crime. We can't be hasty here. Keep your focus on Tusk. Alright, well, let's open an investigation of it. I'll get in touch with Nia right away. Of course, I needn't mention our previous activities or the SSP ongoing investigation into Mr. Tusk. Meeting adjourned. Thank you for your time. Call Marcel Koronti or do nothing. I'm going to call him and see what happens. He answered right away. Mr. President, I have some information that could be useful to you. Is it true you had links to the Coronelli cartel? I'm not going to be so upfront with him. Oh, now I'm excited. What is it? What are you offering for this information? Well, I don't think I can make an offer without seeing what I'm buying first. Too bad. See ya. Government's launching an in-depth investigation into... Well... Okay, I'm going to go with this one here. The government's... I'm going to tip them off. Alright? My reasoning behind that is... The old guard on the Supreme Court wants to launch an investigation of him. It's probably a good idea. He's probably got some pretty shady dealings. So we're going to let them do that. But I'm going to tell them about it. And hopefully it doesn't get discovered that I tipped them off. Which it probably will. So we're going to put up the front of going against Koronti. Which I was thinking about, but I kind of need him on my side to cover up, you know, the spy thing and having her killed. Well, well, thank you for telling me. Now, I wouldn't like to stay indebted to you. Here's what I can offer in exchange for your help. I promise you campaign funds commensurate with the value of your information. Deal. Perfect. Must now make sure my people are on this. Here's to our deal once again, Mr. President, and to many more years of collaboration. Bye-bye. The games Marcel was playing were getting more and more dangerous. The question was, who would be the winner? Right? And I can always just betray him, too, so... Whatever. Okay, what do we got? Briefing on the current healthcare situation. Alright. I had a meeting scheduled with Pascal to receive the annual healthcare report. He arrived at my office with stacks of papers underneath both arms. He looks like such a jolly guy. Put the mountain of papers on my desk and made a loud thud. I know this seems like a lot. Reviewing it shouldn't take more than a day. He measured the pile again. Or maybe two. That sounds great. They contain very important information about the status of our healthcare, salaries, spending, hospital reports, whatever you like. We can go through this together. Summarize. I breathed a sigh of relief as he put on his reading glasses to look at a document he was holding. We have concluded our report for the year. Thanks to the allocated funds, we have improved the healthcare in the country overall. I've used the resources to begin a comprehensive health reform. We have more patients treated, less waiting times, and higher treatment quality than in years before. Good, great. Thank you for your hard work. Just as I expected, it was a good decision to spend the budget on healthcare. Good. Under my presidency, I want Storage people to have the best healthcare services they can get. I couldn't agree more. The foundations we laid so far will influence the years to come. We are certainly on the right path to challenge even Lesbia or Volksland in the matter, but we are not there yet. However, give it a few more years and we might even surpass them. We will surpass them. Yes, we will. I imagine he's like 5'2", and a little bit hyper. Giggles a lot. Claps his hands a lot. Moving on. Our privatization efforts had both positive and negative effects. It helped us raise further funds that we spent on improving the system. Privatized hospitals opened in many places with top-notch equipment. But on the other hand, privatized hospitals are rather expensive even for ordinary middle-class citizens. There's still public hospitals for lower-class citizens. These are the expected growing pains of our healthcare system. I agree. Now we need to look into the future. Pascal skimmed the rest of the document before putting it down. Wait. Our new funds allowed us to build dozens of new hospitals around the country. We specifically focused on areas with a high demand of health services. Good call. Thank you. I will try to do my best. All of these efforts have resulted in a clear improvement to access to health services for our citizens. Now that I've given you the short summary, there's a very important matter to discuss. Leaning over to grab his briefcase, he pulled out a tan-colored package. The package was stamped with big red letters that read "Confidential." He opened the package and brought out a few documents. He handed them over to me. It was a report from the Ministry of Health. Each page had a stamp on it that read, "For President's Eyes Only." The report was titled "Polio Outbreak in Bergia." How bad is it? For now, it seems to be under control. We have put a few villages under quarantine. The total number of infected are currently 1,467. Death toll is at 23. If we have more outbreaks, the results will be terrible. Thankfully, we have received the additional funding to our health care. This should curb the infection ratio. Wasn't polio cured by now? The 50s? Although I'm afraid even that might not be enough. This is a very serious matter, Mr. President. Lives of Sorted citizens are at stake. What can we do about it? We've done our research. There is a cure. Vaccination was recently invented in United Cantana by a doctor, and the formula has been made available for free in the entire world. No matter what people think about United Cantana, the same thing happened in Arcasia. We would be paying the price for it. Thanks to the very good decision made by you to increase the funding for our healthcare, we have the capability to produce this vaccine locally. But I'm afraid simply having the vaccine won't help. We need to make sure they are administered. We need to implement a nationwide mandatory polio vaccination policy. With your order, I can immediately get to work on ensuring we are doing whatever it takes. Might seem excessive, however, it is absolutely necessary. Whatever it takes. Oops. Do it. It didn't cost any money. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must get to work immediately. He got up from his seat. Thank you for your time, Mr. President. He left my office, leaving me alone with a lot of paperwork to go through. All right, still nothing from the news. Free overview. Epidemic prevented. Mandatory vaccinations. Okay, what do we got? Lothberg Group opens first private prisons. The Lothberg Group has finished constructing a private prison complex in the rural areas just outside of Vesord. Comprising maximum and minimum security facilities, the new complex is about the same size as Antal Rock, but promises to house twice as many prisoners thanks to smaller cells and stacked bunk beds. SCSR TV opened. The new Supreme Council of Swordish Radio and Television has opened in Holsword and began its operation. The newly formed expert media team was housed at the Ministry of Interior during the construction and cooperated with Minister Graff. Council experts declared that in the coming months there would be 19 organized audits with up to 84 organizations reviewed by the end of the year. All right. Miss Edith Agnock, the government decision today has set us back to the dark ages. How's Edith Agnock? British economist and banker. Ministry of Economics, Commerce, and Energy Ministry. Now, Mr. Simon Hall is moving rapidly to secure government control over the central bank by preparing necessary paperworks and personnel replacements. God, I can't read. Even though there are some resistance and pushback from the current chairwoman, Miss Edith Agnock, the Minister of Interior, Miss Lily Scraff, has helped smoothen the process. All right. This request to hold the Ashraf anniversary remembrance has been made. Bludish NGOs and Labor Union of Swordland have co-signed a request to hold the Ashraf anniversary remembrance in Suzerain, regardless of the emergency suspension, on the right to peaceful protest. We could allow this as an exception or forbid it. No. Because you're Bludish and fuck you. Oh, news. We got news. Ashraf anniversary canceled due to state of emergency. Yep. Okay. Protest of Ashraf anniversary cancellation. Thousands of Bludish people have marched against the cancellation of the Ashraf anniversary event, despite all warnings by Governor Felix Braun. Dyer saw some of the most major clashes with riot police using extensive force to secure key buildings in New Dyer. Hundreds are reported to have been wounded by the governor, who was promised defiance in the face of adversity. Now what? Briefing on the current political situation. Right, why not? I walked to the White Room with a cup of coffee in my hands. My vice president had scheduled a meeting on the current political situation. I opened the door and entered the room. Peter immediately stood up. Anton, morning. Take a seat. All right, I've got some updates for you on what we're dealing with politically. Pulled out a few documents from a briefcase and laid them on the table. Now, keep in mind, I could have had you killed, so... Simon told me that he almost done with the new economic plan. He said he still needs some time with it. Personally, I think he's just trying to avoid human contact for as long as possible, but what do I know? At any rate, he will schedule a meeting soon to go over our options. Tell him to be quick. Our administration depends on it. Simon can pull it off, I'm sure. He's never failed me before. I will be expecting good ideas and even better outcomes. Better be good for his own good. I'm sure he'll deliver. but I'll go pester him anyway. Next on the docket, time to talk about our election prospects. There was a Schaffsarf knock on the door. Lucian insisted on being here for this part. Of course he did. Mr. President, Mr. Vice President. His tone was nothing but cordial and professional, even as he was casting a withering stare in Peter's direction. The three of us sat down. Peter handed out a new set of documents. Mr. Vectorn, I'll let you take the lead on this one. I will, Lucian, thanks. I just received the results from a voter poll I commissioned earlier in the year. Put it in plain language, it's not great. Bad, even. USP stands to lose up to 20% of the vote compared to the last time around. Tell it to me straight, do we have a chance? Good thing we don't need voters to win the election. Huh? We have a chance. We still have a year to gain more votes. But we've got to think strategically. All right. Pause there for a second. And if there's one arena Miss Vectorn excels in, it's thinking strategically. You have something to add, Lucian? No, pardon the interruption. Peter ignored him and shuffled some papers around. Looking at the demographics of the voters polled, you've fallen out of favor with conservatives. Why? Less than half of them are likely to vote for you. Fortunately, you have next to no support from liberals. Everybody hates me. For better or worse, quite a few nationalists appear on track to vote for you. If you ever had any support from socialists, you've completely lost it now. Oh my God. Unsurprisingly, none of the Bludish poll respondents said they were planning on voting for you. Lastly, we can't expect votes from centrists and unaffiliated voters unless we do something to win them over. Sounds like we're doomed. Lucian, what do you suggest? Thank you, Mr. President. This may sound like common sense, but a convincing enough campaign can succeed where policies fail. Even if you've opted not to focus on your campaign at the moment, I'd still advise you to seize every chance for exposure you can. I'd rather be signing bills and kissing babies. I'll take that into account. Good. One more thing. There is a not insignificant portion of undecided voters who don't care who occupies the Maroon Palace as long as the economy is running smoothly, which it isn't. Propping up the economy just ahead of the election is a surefire way to win them over. All on Simon, then. Partly, yes. Stability is key to allow the economy to improve further. Currently, the country is still struggling to develop due to instability. There's some very worrying news. The Lothberg Group is up to something. My informants have been talking about frequent meetings happening between the oligarchs. Anything to add, Peter? I mean, you could always start a war. I'm sorry, what? Hey, it worked for Saul. We'd need more allies first, of course, but if we won against Rumberg, we'd come out looking like heroes. Is he right? Of course not. Considering our current state of preparedness, goading Rumberg into an armed conflict would cost us both voters and lives. Alright, but if Rumberg escalates things, I won't back off. Rayne the Conqueror. You'd finally get to live up to your university nickname. Is that everything, Peter? Yes, that's everything. Three of us make a good team, don't we? Neither Peter nor Lucian responded. We bid each other farewell and prepared to leave. Lucian stopped me abruptly at the door just as Peter left. Moment, please. There's one more thing I need to talk to you about. What is it? You already know I wasn't entirely supportive of your cooperation with Chief Justice Hawker, and as you know, the state of emergency is about to expire soon. I have to insist not to extend the state of emergency any longer. That is the only way we can come out of this election intact. Polls may not look promising, but the main reason of this is the state of emergency. We can still turn this around. We may not survive the elections if we enter elections in a state of emergency. The elections would lose its legitimacy. Well, I hadn't really thought about that. I didn't know it was expiring soon. I'm thinking of extending the emergency again, or that was already my intention. I'm going to listen to Lucian and go with him on this one. Anyway, I'll not take any more of your time. I hope you listen to my advice, sir. Have a good day. All right. Overview. Action. Leader of the opposition and chairman of the PFJP. Lord Manoli Suhail. British politician, member of the Assembly, and current leader of the PFJP. Doesn't sound like a friend to us. BFF raids governor's office. Governor Braun kidnapped. The terrorists raided the governor's office right before the end of the day and killed 4 guards. As per the reports from the Bergia police force, Governor Bergia Felix Braun was kidnapped by the BFF terrorists. Boy. Well, this kind of puts a kink in my plans to send the emergency decree down the road. BFF captures Seoul Dam. Officials have admitted that currently Seoul Dam is under the control of the BFF after a nighttime raid by the terrorists. Contentious, Seoul Dam has always been an important symbol of Bludish oppression in Swordland. In addition to its importance, the dam currently provides almost 90% of the energy requirements of Bergia and nearby regions. If anything happened to the dam, it would be a disaster of the century. Worst case scenario must be prevented at all costs, even if it means giving in to their demands. And Manoli Sui, People's Freedom and Justice Party, Swordland's largest opposition party, has elected Manoli Sui as its new leader. As the deputy chairwoman of the PFJP, Suhail, we'll just call her Manny, has acted as interim party leader since Franz Richter was arrested just a while ago. Manny secured a whopping 70% of Tuesday's party leadership vote. Triumph will see her lead the PFJP in the 1957 general election against the USP, which has governed Swordland since the end of the Swordfish Civil War in 1929. We will not let fascism take hold in this country. We will free Richter. We will fight for democracy. We will bring the USP down, and we will finally bring justice. All right. A lot to do now. I'm going to pick this up in the next episode, I think. Let's see what our major thing is going to be here. Maybe we can get this out of the way there. Just what it is. Briefing on the increased rest among the population. And we'll take care of all this in the next episode here. Anyway, if you liked the episode, hit the like button. If you have any thoughts, put those in the comment section down below. If you want to follow along. Seems like Swordland's starting to come unglued here. So you might want to hit the subscribe and the bell button so you don't miss out on any of our future episodes. Jay76NY saying thank you very much for watching, and have yourself a very good day.